Every morning, millions of children walk into buildings that look more like prisons than schools. Uniforms, rules, bells, tests. Sit down, be quiet, memorize, obey. They tell us it's about education, but it's not. It's about conditioning. Because if the system really cared about your child's future, they'd teach them how to manage money, build a business, protect their mental health, or raise a family. They'd teach them how to think, not what to think. Instead, they're filled with information that doesn't matter. They can name every planet in the solar system, but can't name one source of passive income. They know the dates of every ancient war, but not how to build a network or stay debt-free. They live with grades, not purpose. Certificates, not confidence. This isn't education, it's indoctrination. A production line turning free-thinking kids into obedient adults. And we still call it progress. So ask yourself, is this really what you want for your kids?
To understand what schools really are, you have to look at who built them and why. The modern education system wasn't born from a love of learning. It was engineered in 19th century Prussia, a country that wanted perfect soldiers, obedient citizens, people who followed orders without asking questions. When America's first education reformers visited Prussia, they didn't see control. They saw efficiency. They brought it home, and the industrialists funded it. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Morgan, men who built factories, not thinkers. They didn't want competition. They wanted a workforce. So they designed a system that looked just like their factories. Rows, bells, repetition, authority. Children trained to sit still, follow instructions, and never ask why. And it worked. It built the perfect society for them. A nation of workers who never learned how to escape the system they served. We teach kids to wait for permission, to chase grades, to fear mistakes, because the people who built this system were terrified of free minds.
They call it progress. Smart boards, tablets, online learning. But look closer. It's the same machine with a new interface. The classrooms haven't changed, only the wallpaper has. Kids still sit in rows, still wait for permission, still learn to follow instructions instead of instincts. Only now, the control doesn't stop at the school gates. It follows them home, through their screens. Grades became algorithms. Discipline became data, and their attention became the new product. They're told to dream big, but only inside the system. Study, get a degree, get in debt, spend your life paying it off.
55% of people living in the natural state have student loan debt. And according to Experian statistics, the average Arkansan borrows more than $32,000 in student loans. The percentage of people who have student debt loan has increased since last year.
Meanwhile, the same institutions that created this model own the student loan banks, the testing companies, and the tech platforms tracking every click. Different tools, same purpose. A population smart enough to run the machine, but too conditioned to question who built it. So when they tell you education has evolved, ask yourself, has it really? Or have they just upgraded the chains?
After 12 years of schooling, most students still don't know the first thing about living life. They've mastered memorizing information, but not building a future. They were never taught how to handle money, never shown how to build relationships that last, never taught how to protect their mental health, start a business, or create freedom. Because that kind of knowledge doesn't create employees, it creates leaders. And that's the last thing this system wants. They don't teach finance because they need debtors. They don't teach networking because they want isolation. They don't teach family because they want dependency on the state. They don't teach confidence because control only works on the insecure. Real education is simple. Learn how money works, learn how people work, and learn how you work. That's what builds empires, not report cards. So before you send your child back into that system, ask yourself one final question. Do you want them educated or programmed?
They built the system to control minds, but they forgot one thing. Free minds always find another way. Education doesn't belong to governments or institutions. It belongs to people, to parents, to families, to anyone brave enough to learn on their own terms. Real learning doesn't come from textbooks or tests. It comes from experience, curiosity, and failure. It happens in conversations, in books they don't recommend, in moments of creation and risk. Teach your kids how money works before the banks do. Teach them to question before the world tells them to obey. Teach them to build, not just to consume. Because once a child learns how to think for themselves, no system can ever own them again. You don't fix the system from the inside. You outgrow it. You build new ones, new schools, new ideas, new ways of raising free thinkers. The world doesn't need more graduates. It needs more creators. And maybe that's what scares them most.
Subscribe for more investigations into the scandals, money trails, and power plays shaping our world. Because only by following the money can we expose the truth.